What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is up 8.7%, 1779 the low, 1990 the high, and a lot of volume. So almost 21 million shares being traded, 71 is the average. Nothing really coming out from the company itself today, so no SEC filings, no press releases. And one thing that's really hyping up the market though today is Trump. So technically complete polar opposite to Friday. So we had a lot of fear on Friday and now we have somewhat euphoria. So nice recovery because of this. You do see some stocks that are experiencing lower volume. They are a little bit more volatile today because technically Trump's 100% tariff is still on track to be fully enforced November the 1st. So you kind of still have this, yes, maybe Friday was an overreaction, but potentially the fear is still there. So this is how you're having the market kind of go back and forth. On a macro standpoint, nothing really coming out today. You have one Fed speaker at 11:55, but nothing really crazy. But what is really moving SoundHound higher is because of this. So this came out over the weekend, and so that is IBD 50. So it goes to show the top 50 growth stocks. And you do have yours truly, number 7, SoundHound. So crazy stuff. And ultimately, the biggest difference between, for instance, SoundHound and many of the other kind of names listed on here, which technically are Palantir, Rocket Lab, you have Robinhood, so a lot of massive names. The biggest difference between SoundHound and a lot of them is SoundHound's heavily shorted. So I think in general, you kind of remove that aspect, which will come over time. This is where you'll see SoundHound have that same growth as a lot of these other stocks, such as Palantir, Rocket Lab, and so forth. So let me know your viewpoint on that. So in my opinion, a lot of people don't generally know about this only because it does have a paywall for you to kind of see all of this. But SoundHound being listed number 7 is like very impressive stuff. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But like I said, shorts are the biggest difference between SoundHound and a lot of the other players up here. And currently 31.47% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 114.97 million shares overall being shorted. Extremely high. DTC 1.92 days, so that does signal that shorts are very overextended. So that does factor in SoundHound's average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. Short score is 68.45, so higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. So definitely SoundHound could go through a squeeze. It just needs that good catalyst. But even if it doesn't, even if shorts just naturally slowly leave, I think that would still be beneficial. And possibly SoundHound's upcoming earnings could be that, where they really lay out when they see profitability, because usually profitability is that natural deterrent for shorts. So that could be coming. They haven't announced their earnings date on a side note, but it is estimated to be roughly around November the 13th. So give or take a month from now. Moving over to the options, 18 million in calls, 960,000 in puts. 57% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. Coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that $19 to $20 range, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 18. So the fact that we are at almost $19 definitely shows that there is a lot more upside. One thing to take note of though is big money is definitely getting in, both on the secondary market as well as the dark pool. So dark pool is often enough used by hedge funds as well as shorts. One big thing for today though is algorithmic trading. So I'm not really a fan of that. That's ultimately what caused so much disruption on Friday, but at the same time, it's reacting to this. So a lot of algos are kind of piggybacking off of this and really pushing a lot of stocks higher. So that's where most of the volume is coming from across the board today. So something to keep in mind. With it right now at $19, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. So 1860 is going to be a strong support. And then 2029 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. This is a one-day chart, so very strong support and resistance points. So for today, just watch for this R1 to hold. And then if so, then you could easily see higher highs. So like I said, I did a video over the weekend, and at the time I didn't know this information because it wasn't out yet. And I think in general, like, there was a lot of fear. I was anticipating a certain level of consolidation, especially in the first half of this week, but because of this, I feel like all of that is just scrapped. So essentially we could be seeing a very nice continued push higher as long as nothing really comes out, because as what we can see, all it takes is one tweet, one post, and things just, the whole narrative just changes. So we'll have to wait and see how things play out, but market seems to be in a very much recovering type of mood. Aside from that though, nothing really crazy coming out for news. Not even any articles talking about the IBD 50, so top 50 list. You have some talking about the Forum 4s that did come out on Friday after hours, which I did bring up in my weekend video. But at the same time, no real analyst ratings as well. So it is just SoundHound's technicals as well as that new information that did come out over the weekend that is really pushing SoundHound higher. Right now it is above that 10-day moving average, signaling that there's a hell of a lot of good momentum, really pushing it higher. Looking at the market position though, you see like everyone just came out of the woodwork and is placing bid orders. So comparing, for instance, today and Friday, massive amount of willing buyers. So FOMO is starting to kick in with SoundHound, and I think generally all of us knew that SoundHound was going to do something and was going to be amazing, although I think that they in some cases do play it a little bit safe. They could be a little bit more aggressive, but then again, that's who they are. That's kind of the business model that they like to do, and honestly, it's so far working out for them. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But as far as this, you do see on the stochastic RSI, it's somewhat neutral in nature. So it's not considered overbought nor oversold. If it does get to the kind of $20 range or potentially higher than that, then this is where we could get a little bit overbought and might need some level of consolidation. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. As far as right now, things seem to be really, really heating up. So let me know your viewpoint on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? Do you think that SoundHound is deserving to be top 50? Or do you think that they should be a little bit lower? So this is also at the same time a nice positive slap in the face to a lot of SoundHound's competitors, because I know recently over the last month and a half, there's been a lot of digs back and forth between SoundHound and some other names and vice versa, but this speaks volumes. So let me know your viewpoint on all of this. Give yourself a shout out if you did buy into the fear on Friday. I did buy a lot of stocks, not necessarily SoundHound, but I think if it does get back to that $17 range, this is where I'll continue to sell puts. And this is something I really recommend a lot of individuals to do. If you were going to buy a stock anyways, consider selling a put, because that way you get an extra premium and that way you can kind of get it at the price that you want. But again, options aren't for everyone. Do your own due diligence and all the other fun jazz. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.